What is going on, everyone? It's me, Natsu here, and today we have another Dokkan battle data thread, I guess you could say. So this is another one of these data threads that were brought together by, I guess if I scroll to the bottom, they do give credits, Luca Dokkan right here. This is credits accurate data due to Luke, graphics due to Raspy, and feedbacks with Air Dokkan and Matt. So thank everyone for all these guys especially, and of course Luca Dokkan for bringing it together, for, you know, creating this graphic. It definitely is going to be very helpful for global players in terms of, you know, the red zone specifically. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, again, there is a well, I know because I did a video on it, but there is a movie bosses edition of this that I did a separate video on it. I might link it in the description if I remember, but if I don't, there is a video on my channel about it. I didn't do it not too recently, but here's the GT version right here. So let me close this. We have the GT version, which I feel like overall the GT version is easier than the movie bosses version, like overall. But there are still some pretty difficult sections in the GT bosses version, and it's interesting to see how this looks like. So let's go right here. This is stage 1 versus Legic. This is an extreme AGL boss, and this is the only phase. Again, Legic is a joke. You just bring a full tech team and you demolish him, even with just like, you know, 170% leader skill. Probably even a 150% leader skill. You could probably destroy Legic, right? From what I recall, he doesn't really doing anything that annoying or anything like that. But let's see into the actual data himself. Again, 23 million HP is basically nothing. 200k attack. Okay, so the one thing is that you do want to have at least 200k defense to basically tank against this guy's normals. Probably less, like, because if you're gonna run a full tech team, you probably don't need 200k defense, right? Around like 180k defense should be runnable enough for you to go ahead and do really well against them. 65k defense, not that much, right? 500,000 super attack damage. So again, if you have type advantage, you won't have much of an issue. But if you want to take like the supers for double digits, you do need 500k defense, right? So that's not a bad super attack level. Actually, like, compared to like these other bosses that we've seen, like if you compare it to like the stage 1 of the movie bosses version right here, let me go ahead and bring this up. Okay, so we have the movie bosses stage 1 up there. It's quiet for like a minute. Like, look, the super attack damage is way less for these minions, right? And he does hits as hard as like basically this Turles right here. So again, if he does hit you with the super attack, he can do some pretty solid damage, but nothing really that special. He can do 8 attacks, just damage reduction. He has a 5% chance to dodge, so yeah. Again, this is he could dodge, he can't be sealed, stuns, attack or defense lowered. So again, he's not a difficult boss because you could just run an AGL team. It's one phase by himself, but don't let him catch you off guard either. Yeah, that's basically what I would say. So yeah, we have stage 2 versus Lude. Then there's God Lude, right? So essentially, Lude is somewhat difficult, relatively difficult, nothing like too crazy, of course, right? It's the second stage. Not really an issue right here. He does lower your defense on super attack though, right? And his super attack does hit a pretty solid damage, right? 526k, definitely not like, you know, like nothing that crazy compared to other red zone bosses, right? But that definitely is a pretty damaging super attack, considering he does also lower your defense, so you want to be mindful of that. 18% chance of super attack during the turn. Again, his attack is lower than the Legic's, right? 188k defense attack, right? Not defense, yeah, 188k attack. So again, you want around that level of defense, around like 200k defense, to really be safe against his normals. He does do 6 attacks though. That's a lot less attack. But again, with the super attack, he lowers defense by 40%. So that's your starter turn defense basically almost cut in half, which can be really devastating in the wrong unit. So you want to be careful with that. Then STR Lude, again, he does hits harder on his super attack effect. However, he no longer lowers defense. He does hit harder on his normals as well, 220k attack. And he's STR now. So yeah, Okay, see, interesting. So he raises his attack with each super attack he does. I don't think that's something I've seen the other bosses do. This is a stacking attack. I actually had no idea he did this. Okay. So you probably want to finish this guy off quicker, right? Because he does more damage with each super attack he does, I guess. I didn't even know that. He has only an 18% chance to super though, but he does 7 attacks, right? 65% damage reduction. I guess has a 1% more chance to do one less attack, right? It's nothing special. Again, I don't think anyone here, like, there's no one here that like raised their attack. That's interesting, right? Like, would any of these guys raise attack? Not really. No. Okay. That's cool, I guess. Interesting, I guess, at the very least. So next we go to Roto. Roto himself, not really that difficult, right? He has 3 phases right here. Well, I would say this Roto is actually pretty tough for sure. He's annoying, for sure. These first 2 phases aren't that bad though, is what I would say. Let's go ahead and open this in a new tab so I can focus more specifically on each single one right here. So this is the extreme int typing of Roto right here, the first phase. Again, nothing too special. 20 million HP is not that great. His super attack does hit relatively hard, 500k. And he does lower your defense again by 40%. All 3 of these phases lower your defense by 40%. So essentially, if you get hit with a super, your defense gets lowered. Your base defense gets lowered by half. The reason I'm saying base defense is because this actually does not affect your stacked defense, right? So if you have like 200k defense, let's say you have 100k defense and you stacked an additional 200k. The 40% would only go off the first 100k, not the stacked 200k, right? And that's how that would work, based on what it looks like on what we've seen in the game, right? That's what I'm presuming it works like, right? So yeah, this could be very devastating in the first phase of the fight, right? This is 3 turns, right? Yeah, 3 turns. Okay, just want to double check. Yeah. He can't be stunned, sealed, attack or debuff lowered, and he has a 7% chance to dodge, which can be a little bit annoying. Does 8 attacks, right? Again, nothing really that special, I would say, overall though. This AGL Roto is just a slightly harder version of the first one. In fact, he has a lower super attack chance, right? Same 40%. He does hit, again, 30k is not that much of a difference. 75k right here is definitely a difference though. But because his super attack chance is lower, I don't know, and his dodge chance is the same. I don't think it's gonna be that much difficult. That's basically it. Okay, because you want to bring int units, right? So there's no like type coverage here that you want to have. Because again, int units is what you want to bring in the last phase. There's no what's it called, physical unit here, so you'll be fine. This Roto, he's annoying. Because he has a 60% chance to lock your character. And, you know, this Roto many times locked my character slot 3 and slot 1. And then he super attacked and lowered the defense with 728k SA damage. That definitely is starting to get, worry. Like, okay, this guy's hitting hard. Considering he does lower your defense as well by 40%, this could be a quite troubling boss. You want at least 260k defense to tank his normals as well. And considering he does lower defense again, this Roto is not really anything to take lightly, this last phase of this Roto, for sure, right? He is still, he's only the 3rd phase in the movie bosses, of the GG bosses, I mean, but he still could be quite dangerous, so you gotta watch out for him, based on my experiences anyways. Baby is really, well, like when Baby came out, obviously he was the hardest boss in the game. Baby could be quite difficult, for sure, right? So let's take a look here at each of the phases. This first Baby, he does have 19 million HP, not really anything fantastic there. He doesn't hit that hard on his normals. Again, I found his normals don't really do damage, but he's another boss in here that lowers attack. In fact, he lowers your attack and defense by 20%, so he can make you hit less hard. And having 506k attack right there, being the first phase, I found this guy to be really annoying. So you really want to be careful if you're bringing any AGL units. Like AGL Kid Gohan is a stacking AGL unit. If you're bringing someone like him, you really got to be careful he doesn't get tagged with a super, because you can instantly die. 18% chance of super, very, very common, I'd say. A very solid chance for him to super attack. 7 attacks, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can clear this baby pretty fast, but if you're running a slower team, he can be dangerous for you, so you got to be careful with that. Also, he can't be attack debuff, defense debuffed, or sealed and stunned, right? This baby does not lower your defense, however, he has 672k attack. This baby does hit pretty hard on a super attack, right? And the fact is, again, this guy lowers your defense, and then this guy comes in and can hit you pretty hard, right? So you really want to be careful with that for sure. Yeah, you gotta watch out. I'd say you really want to watch out for that, because he could really definitely get you good, for sure. So yeah. And he's extreme AGL again, so there it is. Now, these last two phases are ints, so you can bring a good amount of physical units, again, because there's no STR unit here that's really gatekeeping you from keeping those physical units back. Like, future Gohan would be a good option here. This baby, honestly, like, he hits hard, but I feel like by the time you get here, I just never found this baby necessarily to be an issue, especially if you're running a lot of physical units preparing for the final phase. This, like, again, his super attack can hit you pretty hard, but like his attack, 270k, would be a little more troublesome if he lowers defense or anything. But he only has a 14% chance of super, which is less than this phase, for example, right? It's the same as this phase, but with this phase, you have to worry about having your defense lowered here. And by now, like, for example, like, LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta just destroys this guy, right? Especially this guy specifically. So, yeah, that is pretty tough for him. Now, we got to this phase. Grade A Baby, he was actually bugged on JP when he first came out. I forgot how exactly he was bugged. It wasn't like a terrible, like, like game breaking, like, oh my god, this guy's too hard with this bug or anything, but he was bugged when he came out on JP. Could be the same for Global. Let me check his, yeah, 30 million HP, okay, that's a good amount. This guy's actually pretty difficult, just because he can stun you, he attacks all, and then, again, his attack stat is the same? I'm surprised oh yeah, like the AoE attack stat, 313k, that is a pretty, yeah, that is a pretty good attack stat for an AoE that attacks all units. And it's annoying because, say, again, you have a third slot unit, he gets attacked before that third slot attacks, and especially if they want to attack first to get their defense, right? They could really catch those type of units off guard that want to attack first, right? So you really need to be careful with that. Again, he has 100% chances to stun, and his super attack damage is nearly 1,000,000. So yeah, he is definitely harder than this guy. His normals, yeah, like I figured, his normals didn't really hit that hard, but a super attack and AoE could definitely catch you for sure, right? So this baby is very, very difficult. Do not underestimate him. And again, that stun can be quite annoying for units like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, who like want to super attack first, right? If he stuns them, then you don't super attack or anything like that. Okay, let me clarify. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta does not necessarily have the super attack, but on his 18 key, he like gets, the massive raise and the nullification, right? Stuff like that. Which, the stun could be quite annoying to deal with for sure. Okay, that's baby. Next we have the Hellfighter 17. This one is difficult as well for sure. I would say this guy is pretty difficult. One reason why is because these guys actually do hit pretty hard. Yeah, like 625k attack stats. Being the first phase starting off with, these guys hit pretty hard for sure. You gotta really be careful. They could be devastating for you. They also can dodge, 5% chance to dodge. Not really the greatest thing ever, but it's fine, right? What I found is that, yeah, like, these guys don't really attack that much, right? 4 attacks at max, but they have nearly a 30% chance to do 2 less attacks, right? So it's pretty often that you don't really see these guys do too many attacks, but you really got to be careful with their supers. Their supers can be quite nasty, and especially, for a first phase right here, like, let me see. Yeah, their HP is a little low for the first phase is what I would say. Not really the largest HP ever, but there's 2 of them, right? So we have to keep in mind that there are 2 of them. Their attack stats are like, for being a first phase, their attack stats are pretty, like, they hit hard, but not hard, right? If that makes sense. Like, they do solid damage. It's their super attack you want to be careful of. Especially because there's 2 of them. If you get tagged by 2 supers by them in the first slot, or something like that, you could be in really major trouble. And the thing is that I would say another thing, they don't have type coverage though. Like, if you keep looking at these GT bosses, there's not really type coverage, right? Until like Omega necessarily, right? Like, you want to bring AGL units here, but there's no like tech unit that covers you, right? So that's pretty much it from there. 17 himself is quite difficult, and he's a little annoying because you don't want to bring blast units against him, right? Blast units could be quite annoying to run against 17. So you want to use a unit like, you know, AGL Trunks, for example, could be a really good unit against the 17, right? Because type advantage, no blast super attacks. I mean, none of these guys could be defense attack, stunned, or sealed. Well, defense attack lower, right? His super attack damage is 1,000,000. Yeah, I did find a super attack that does hit pretty hard for sure. He has 39 million HP, which is quite a lot of HP, and 370k attack. That's a large amount of attack, right? So this Super 17 could be quite difficult, especially considering you can't, like, you know, use an active skill like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's or Super Saiyan 4 Goku's, right? They fixed the bug where the enemy, like, overheals above their HP threshold. That used to be a bug. They fixed that. I don't know if it's fixed on global. So if it's not, you want to be careful, because if he's like at full health and you forget and use like Super Saiyan 4 Goku's active skill or something, right? He could actually heal above the HP that he has capped out, which is pretty funny. 14% chance of super, nothing really too special, but he can do 9 attacks, right? He has a 5% chance to dodge, so yeah. Be careful with the 17. He could be quite formidable for sure. The 17 could be quite difficult, but again, since there's no type coverage, like, you can bring a bunch of AGL units to kind of clear this last phase pretty easily. Just got to be careful with these two. Next is the Shadow Dragons. There's, again, 6 phases for the Shadow Dragons, so there's really a lot to cover here. This is like a very difficult Infinite Dragon Ball history. They all do like pretty different things, right? This guy, not that bad, right? 500k attack stat for super attacks is not the worst. For a first phase, it could be pretty difficult, but like, if you saw, like, last one, it was 625k. So it's a huge drop down. He's tech. So I would say about him being tech, I believe physical. Okay, I'm trying to look at the typings here, because you want to have STR and AGL. So like, if you bring in AGL units for Nova, this guy can kind of hurt you a little, especially again those stacking AGL units like AGL could Gohan, right? Is another good example I'll bring up. This guy is not annoying, kind of, right? He does have the blast nullification, but because of that, like, and he doesn't heal from me, he only deflects it like a nullification, right? So you can kind of cheese, like, I cheese this phase with the Universe 6 Count Caulifla team, and I was able to clear this entire stage because this guy deflects all the blast supers, right? And most of the Count Caulifla team do blast supers, so yeah, I was able to really stack up their defense with that there. Again, doesn't really hit that hard, lower attack stats and everything like that. Not really anything difficult. This Oceanus could be difficult, I found. Like, look, yeah, her attack stat jumps up to 575k on super. And she needs to be defeated with a super, right? I would say that she could be difficult because she's AGL. And again, you want to bring STR units for this phase, right? So she could be quite annoying. Not that annoying though, but she does change orbs, which is another way she could be annoying. Like, you know, when, say like you set up an orb field and then this changes it, right? It could be quite just meh for you, right? It could work out in your favor sometimes, I guess, but yeah. Next we have, I don't even know his name, but he does have a 40% chance to steal your super attack. Could be quite annoying at times. His super attack hits way harder, right? It's a huge jump. 575k to 700k. That is quite the jump. His attack stat also is not that much higher from the previous phase. Actually, no. It is much higher. 280k. I thought this was 275, but no. That's 230. So 280k, that's actually a sizable jump for sure. So yeah, you want to be careful with this guy. He could, don't let him catch you off guard, for sure. Him being extreme hit is, you know, not really that bad, I would say. So STR, this Nova does hit pretty hard, yeah. Almost a million, 950k damage is a lot. And his attack set jumps all the way to 340k. That could be quite troublesome. He has a good amount of HP too. Again, yeah, he's pretty annoying, but the dodging as well, like 10% chance, right? That's a pretty solid chance for him to dodge you. So yeah. This Ice Shenron, he has a 100% chance to lock you in place. So again, these enemies that lock you in place is annoying. He does do less damage and attack than the Nova Shenron. So it seems like the Nova Shenron is the harder phase in a sense. But if he locks like your third slot unit in slot 1, then you're kind of screwed, especially if you use items in these other phases, right? But in realistically speaking, this Nova is actually a harder boss than this guy. Because he has less HP, less attack, you know, he has lower defense, less super attack damage. He has a higher super attack chance, but he does less attacks, right? So, I don't know. I actually didn't know. I thought this Ice would have been a harder boss, but it seems like this guy is the harder boss. That makes sense, I guess, right? So, maybe you do want to bring a lot of AGL units. And be careful with this tech phase is what I would say. But again, you can clear this with like a hybrid team pretty easily, you know. You should be good. Final stage is Omega Shenron right here. I don't think I have to go too much in depth about Omega Shenron. Specifically, he's a very difficult boss. He goes from int to STR to int. So you bring a lot of physical units, obviously, but this STR phase really stonewalls you, which is very annoying, right? Again, the GT bosses stages don't really have something like this until this phase where it stonewalls you like really hard. So that's very annoying. This first phase could lower your attack and defense. He has a 30% chance to stun you, apparently. Oh, you know what it is? I saw this in the comments, right? Let me take a look here. Personally, never saw people getting stunned by the Shadow Dragons. It's due to the fact that it's an LR, so it has multiple super attacks, even if the game only uses the 12 key. So we can't stun. Yeah, so, because, can I bring up, I can bring up the Shadow Dragons, right? He stuns on his 18 key, but he does a 12 key super attack, right? So, that will basically cause him, even though he can technically stun, he's not going to stun you because he does have the 12 key that he uses. But he still has a 40% chance to seal you and lock you in place, which is very annoying. This could be either or, it could be both, but it could be either one, right? So yeah, this guy could be quite troublesome. I'm not sure what this means. 660k and 770k. Oh, yeah, this would be his 18 key. But since he doesn't do his 18 key, he does the 12 key, which is 660k. Which definitely is not the worst, but it hits pretty hard. Especially since he's lowering your attack and defense by 20% for 3 turns. 40% chance to stun. His normals don't really hit hard. 220k is very laughable attack, I would say at this point, in the red zone, right? Look, that's similar attack to the first phase. Yeah, 200k, right? So, very laughable, but it does lower your defense, so be careful with that. Next, we go to the STR Shin phase, and he jumps a lot higher in terms of difficulty. 5% chance to dodge could be annoying, but his super attack is the same as the Nova. And this Nova you build up to like turn 7 with, right? It's also the same as Baby, right? Similar. It's lower than Baby's, right? But this is a second phase of the fight, not like a final 4th, 5th phase of the fight. He has 40 million HP, 340k attack. Like, this guy is very devastating. And again, considering you want to bring a lot of these physical units, him being STR could be quite dangerous. Quite dangerous. So I would argue this is the most dangerous phase of this event if you're bringing a lot of physical units. Because this Omega, you know where super tech is going to be. I'll talk about him in a bit, but yeah, well, I guess talking about it right now because not much else to say about this Shin. Very difficult boss. This Omega, 35 million HP, which is less than the STR Shin Shenron, right? But he has 450k attack. This is the hardest hitting boss in the game. 450k attack. Not even, if you bring up the Broly phase, even this Broly final phase doesn't hit as hard as him. 400k attack is a lot lower. So 450k attack and then a 1.5 million, 1.57 million attack stat for a super attack, right? That could be very nasty and he has 70% reduction, right? It's like, he hits very hard. Very, very, very hard. If your unit could tank double digits in this phase, they're a good unit, right? And this is the hardest hitting boss in the game, technically. Again, the reason why super attack is, honestly, it's not that bad anymore, because we're getting a lot of like these nullification units, like 19 and 20 could absorb it. The tech androids could, you know, just basically nullify it, right? The STR Super Saiyan Gohan, the post exchange, he could counter it, right? Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta can counter it. You could dodge the super attack, right? Which is why he's not nearly as hard as Broly, because compared to Broly, this guy dodges, right? But Broly nullifies your dodge, right? But if you get hit with this, you still will take a lot of damage. Like, no matter what the unit is, unless you're like Tech Ultimate Gohan stacked up. Like 1 million defense with guard, you're gonna take a lot of damage from this. Or like Rakuman Goldo, it's another unit that could tank this super attack very well. Like, you could survive the super attack for sure, but like taking like very little damage from it is very hard to do. Unless you're like, again, nullify, counter, guard, do some of those special defensive abilities. But yeah, again, he does count down, and by the end of the second turn, that final attack will always be that very difficult super attack. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope this guys kind of helps you understand a little bit of Red Zone. Again, for most of these phases, I think Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is a really good shot, right? For a good majority of these fights, right? Especially your ints, like your ints, right? Yeah, is what I would say. But again, I think other teams like the Goku/Gohan team, the Cell team, the Ginyu team, they could all clear all these pretty easily, right? Post 7th anniversary. But let me know what you guys think. If you're excited for Red Zone, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.